Well, welcome, folks. This is Stress Cure 101. My name is Stan Lubowicki. I am officially the Joy Meister of the world, which sounds ludicrous, but this is what I teach is joy. And it's pretty ridiculous because when you come into this world, playground Earth here, innately you're joyful. But 4, 5, 6 years old, you start losing that bit by bit by bit, and it slips away on you, and then you don't know how to get it back. And I teach how to get it back because joy is very important to quality of life, your well-being here in this world. It's more than just a fluffy, oh, well, it's nice, but, you know, that's life. It's very important, as you're about to find out, in case you're thinking different. Do we have enough chairs? There's a few more here up front, and I think there's some elsewhere. I don't know. I've got a lot of ground to cover, way more than I can fit in here tonight. I'll be offering a program that teaches this in great detail. And so who I am, I'm the Joy Meister. Why you might want to listen to me. I had a healing practice several years ago, and essentially it was getting people to change their mind. I didn't hypnotize them, not a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, anything remotely like that. I don't touch anybody. I could do it on the telephone just as easily as in person. But in changing the mind, because the mind is very powerful, we had all kinds of healings, mental, emotional, physical healings. Amazing results. And that's being conservative. I'm not a salesman. I'm a teacher. And I teach how to eliminate stress, which I mentioned. I teach how to heal yourself, how to live healthier, a healthier, more joyful life. My calling, my higher purpose is two things: to heal the sick, mental, emotional, physical, and bring peace where there isn't any. And that's since I was a little boy, 7, 8 years old. That's always been my mission. And I've been seeking bigger answers my entire life, and I found some bigger answers. And so that's what I'm going to share with you here tonight. I had a healing practice. I'm not here to convince you of anything you don't want to believe. I'm looking to speak to people who are already going in this direction, who already want more joy in their life, who already want to eliminate the stress. And more likely that's why you're here, otherwise you wouldn't be here, because it's all about stress, eliminating stress. And perhaps you get some key insight or benefit from what I'm going to share with you here tonight. This is, like I said, I had a healing practice several years ago, got away from it because of working on another project. This here tonight is my first foray back into the world of healing. It's been calling me, and won't let go because it's my calling. That's why I say it's calling me. It is, in fact, my higher purpose. Because stress kills, I want to introduce a better way of dealing with stress, of eliminating stress rather than managing it. I don't believe in managing it at all, which you're about to find out. There's no drugs, no meditation, no exercise needed, so let's get started. Number one, you can't ignore stress. It's deadly. There's millions of people dying every year, although you'll never see it on the death certificate. You'll see heart attacks, you'll see strokes, you'll see cancer, you'll see a whole host of things. But you'll never see stress, although stress is the precursor or what launches so many of these diseases and ailments that take people out. And it's totally unnecessary because stress is, it's not normal. Because if you look at the little ones, up to about 4 years old, they're not stressed. They're full of joy. That's our natural state of being. We only learn the societal program, which is fear-based, which is at the opposite end of the spectrum from joy. So you have fear and stress and pain and suffering and illness over on this side. Over here you have joy and love and appreciation and connection with the source, God, spirit, whatever you like to call it. And so you're either connected and allowing that flow, that energy, healing energy to come through to you, or you're pinching it off to some degree over here. And that's what our societal program teaches, that it's normal to be stressed, and it's not. It's learned behavior. Yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, all great. All these things are great. It's just that they're not real convenient to use when the poop hits the fan and you're on the spot. You can't say, you know what, I'll be back in 15 minutes. I got to meditate right now. It doesn't work that way. What I teach, you can actually put into action in a minute or two and get quite satisfactory results. It's nothing new I teach. This is not some new age kind of a mumbo-jumbo thing. This is as old as man himself. When you get right to the root cause of stress, it's actually easier to eliminate it than it is to manage it. I equate managing stress with you accidentally leave your back kitchen door open and a rattlesnake sneaks in, and your mate comes home and says, "Oh, listen, we got a rattlesnake in the house. I think it's in the den, or it might be in the second bedroom." So we can manage that. We can manage that. And it's like, you don't manage something like that. You either get the snake out of the house or you kill it. Well, it's the same thing with stress. Stress is deadly. It's like the rattlesnake. You got to get rid of it. You don't manage it. There's thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of so-called stress management experts out there in the world who haven't a clue as to what stress actually is or what causes it, so therefore they're ill-equipped to deal with eliminating it. So I teach something different because I have a different understanding of what stress, and it works. That's the bottom line. So what is stress? Stress is the feeling that you get from being out of the joy zone, being out of alignment with source, spirit, whatever name you like to use. It's the lack of joy. Because as soon as you move over to the joy side of the line, I like to draw a line. This side is joy, that side is everything else. When you get over on the joy side of the line, there's no stress. When you get over on the stress side of the line, there's no joy. So stress is an indicator of the lack of joy. Joy is an indicator that stress is gone. And you can feel that. You can feel the difference. Consequence. Like I said, millions of people dying each year. Stress, or stroke, heart attacks, cancer, and a whole host of others. Stress management, bad idea. Number one, it's ineffective, and it allows the stress to continue. So, in my mind, what good is that? It's pointless. What triggers your stress? It's nothing external. Although most people will say that I'm in a stressful situation, there's no such thing as a stressful situation. I'll tell you why. Because I could take this young lady in front of me, and she's in a so-called stressful situation, and I plug in this other young lady in the same exact situation. She's like, well, it's no big deal. And then we switch something that's stressful for you and plug you in, and it's like, Oh, well, what's the big deal? I can handle it. So it's not external, it's internal. It's our core beliefs, our perspective of the situation. That's what stresses us out. It's this misalignment with source. I do this because most people think heaven, God, or whatever is up there. It's everywhere. It's closer than your breath. So you're either in alignment with the source or you're out of alignment with the source. When you're in alignment, there's no stress. It's like, okay. So it's a situation, it's a task that needs to be done, not a big deal. But when your thoughts are contrary to what the source believes, it's going to be stressful. That's where the stress comes from. For mostly the ladies in the house, guys usually don't care. The secret to looking 10 or 20 years younger in that quick is to get rid of the stress. Get over on the joy side of the line. And the second part of it, which comes naturally once you're over there, is to smile. I was out the other night and radiantly beautiful, a woman sitting across from the table. She's about 40 years old, give or take. And she started talking with her girlfriend over there about some drama, and it was like yakety, yakety, yak. And I looked, and instantly, boom, she went from looking 40 to looking 60. That quick. And you've all seen this, yes? You've all experienced it. Yes? But the look appearing, you're looking, you know, she's 40 years old, she looked 60. And it's like, oh, wow, you know, and it's scary. That quick. So you can go from looking and feeling 60 to looking and feeling 40. Or, you know, it goes either way. And the difference between this, the joy method of doing it, versus cosmetic surgery is it feels good as well. When you go under the knife, you may look it, but you still have that inner stress that counteracts all the work, the plastic work that they've done. So, joy, it's a good thing. How to lower high blood pressure, reduce your chances of heart attack or stress. I was at a small health fair at a YMCA. I was just there walking around like any one of you would. And there was doctors and nurses there doing blood pressure. And this one woman came in, and she looked like she was ready to explode. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? And this is back when I still had my little healing practice. So they put the cuff and they do the blood pressure. And the nurse goes, ma'am, you have to do something. You're in danger of essentially exploding. That's not the word she used. And she's like, yeah, I know. I got all this stuff going on, blah, 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 blah. So she started walking away, and I said, look. I approached her. I say, are you done with her? And they say, yeah. I say, look, if you want, I'm not have anything to do with anybody here, but I may be able to help you if you want. She says, yeah, sure. So I spent about 10 minutes with her. And we got to a point where it's like, okay, we have to stop here because beyond that, we're going to open up a whole can of worms, and this isn't the place to do that. So I say, you feel better? She said, oh my gosh, yeah, so much better. And I said, great. And then I look over at the nurses there, and they're waiting for someone else to take their blood pressure. I say, hey, come here, take her blood pressure. And she says, oh, sure. Right? So she takes it again, right? And she's like, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. So I got to do this again, right? So she does it again, and she looks at me and she says, what did you do? Because it had just plummeted. And this is using a protocol that is far inferior to what I'm doing today. It was great. I mean, if you, in 10 minutes, bring somebody's blood pressure down like that, that's pretty impressive. But what I do today is far more effective and quicker and better and longer lasting. So you get, that's just one thing. I'm just pulling that out of the hat. Blood pressure, because heart attacks and strokes are just so prevalent in our society. So if you bring the blood pressure down, no medication, just through changing the mind. And again, I don't hypnotize anybody. I don't tell anybody what to believe because I don't need to. Each and every one of us has our own intuition, gut feeling, inner guidance. This is spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, speaking to us. It comes in response to the thoughts that we're thinking in that moment. It's not about last week or this, next week. It's about in that moment. You get a feeling, and this is your intuition. It's infallible. The downside, it's not a downside, the misapplication of using intuition is everybody gets it about 180 degrees backwards because they don't know the correct way to use your intuition. This is one of the things I teach, and I drive home because it's the most important thing, because otherwise I got to tell you what to do, and I'm not going to do that. I defer to your own inner guidance because it's infallible. This is spirit. Spirit knows far better than I could ever know what's right for you. And what's right for you, ma'am, may not be right for this gentleman over here, and what's right for you isn't right for this gentleman over here. We all have our own individual intentions, and spirit knows this perfectly. It's infallible. So for me to get in the middle of that would be stupid. I just help you to use your intuition correctly. And once you learn how to use it, then you're on your way home. Make sense? Okay. So, next. And this applies far more than just physical healing. I've had clients turn off divorce, lawsuits, debilitating pain, addictions, and far more. I could tell stories all night because I had a healing practice for 7 or 8 years, and there's just so many stories. But I don't want to take too much time because I'm hoping that some of you will have some questions that will take some time to answer. But when you use your intuition, it guides you. This is your guidance. And when you use it correctly, it's your compass. When you use it incorrectly, it's like having a compass. For any of you who don't know, your compass, the needle always points north. So you line that up, the needle with north, and now there's east and west and south is behind. Well, when you're using it incorrectly, it's like the needle pointing south. No matter what you do, you're always going to end up lost. That's why people say you can't trust your emotions. Wrong! It's the only thing you can trust, your emotions. This is your intuition, your inner guidance. But you got to use it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be going backwards all the time, and it's very frustrating and it's self-defeating. Why moms care? This is I'm just reading off some of the things from the little my little flyer. If any of you picked up the flyer over here, I'm trying to hit as many of them as I can. Why moms, caregivers, healthcare professionals, and first responders must eliminate stress now. If you go down, you can't help anybody else. It's that simple. I remember my father, who grew up back in the Depression days, and he was a lifeguard. And the way they did things were pretty crude back then. Is when somebody was drowning, you went out there with a rock in your pocket, and you went out there, and if they came along peacefully, you drag them in. If they tried to climb on top of you, which would drown you, you take the rock out of your pocket and you wonk them up on the side of the head and knock them out cold cock, and then you drag them in. This is what he told me. This is the way they did it back then. It was pretty crude, but it was effective. Because if you go down, you're not going to help that person. You'll never help anybody else. And that's how it is with stress and moms and caregivers and first responders and such. If you go down, you're not going to help anybody after this. It's over. So not only will it be over, but you'll end up having people taking care of you. You lose your independence. You become dependent upon other people. I don't know how many of you have ever experienced that, but it's not a fun place to be. Yes? So, got to take care of it. Why the organic lifestyle alone isn't enough to ensure good health? How many of you know Frank Oakes, who started the store over here? Frank was a beautiful person. His motto was, don't worry about it, everything's going to be all right. The man was stressed, though. Many times I've tried talking with him, but he just wasn't open to it. Everything's going to be all right. Well, Frank died of a heart attack, if what I've been told is correct. And that's one of the number one things that stress causes. So, in spite of the organic lifestyle, stress took him out. You got to get rid of the stress first, and then you can take advantage of all the benefits of the organic lifestyle. Doing it the other way around, you're not going to get the full benefit of it, because you always have this rattlesnake in your house. It's not a good thing. So stress is number one. That's what I believe. Everybody has their own belief. Just 3-4 days ago, I was standing in the cash register checkout line, buying some goods. And here on one side, and there on the other side, two people. And they said, well, and they're talking across me there. And so, how come you're going to Georgia? Oh, I'm going to a funeral. Whose funeral? Oh, Betty Boop. Really? What'd she die from? Heart attack. Heart attack? She's a raw foodist. Oh, but she's a high-fat raw foodist. The high fat is evidently what took her out. And I'm standing there listening, going back and forth, and I reach down, because there's some of these who are on a checkout line. I reach down and I say, here, you want to know what took them out? Read this. I don't see either one of those two people here. I don't think they want to hear what I have to say. And that's okay, because what I teach isn't for everybody. Not everybody is ready for what I teach. It's just the way it is. By the way, I teach the exact same things Jesus taught 2,000 years ago. Jesus never taught religion, by the way. He taught higher consciousness. He taught change your mind. They didn't get it 2,000 years ago. Most people don't get it today either. You are a select few out of many. So, why joy is important? I said this earlier. You can't have joy if you're stressed, and if you can't be stressed in the joy zone. So, mission critical is to crank up the joy, amplify the joy. This is what I teach. And it's simple. It's easy. It's easy when you know how to do it. And anybody could do it now. Change your mind and say, oh, I'll have a strawberry instead of chocolate. You know what? Let me have vanilla. Oh, let me have mocha. That's easy to change your mind on those things. That's not even so hard about changing your mind about some person or situation or whatever. But to be able to sustain that change is where it gets difficult, because we're creatures of habit. We think habitually. We get up in the morning and we reach into yesterday and bring that forward into today. And we tend to live it over today. And we do the same thing the next day. It doesn't work. I mean, look at your lives. Look at the drama. Look at the pain, the suffering that you're going through. So there needs to be a change. I'd like to show you something, because this is a quickie demonstration. So you have stress. These are quarters. You put those in, and it's tips the scales to the negative. Well, you start putting. Here's pennies. Put a bunch of those in, and well, it's getting close. You put enough of them, and it shifts the scale. But better than that, even without worrying about joy, if you just remove some of the stress, you automatically start to shift to the positive without doing anything that's positive thinking or anything like that. Getting rid of the negative. Like I often say, if you're going to dance, first take the stone out of your shoe. Makes sense, yeah? So getting rid of the stress is mission critical here on playground Earth. And once you get rid of that, it's every little bit of joy you add shifts to the positive. It's so much easier when you're not dragging all that stress behind. Does that make sense? Yeah. I believe in simple. Everything I teach is simple, simple, simple. It's just so simple and black and white. Makes a lot of people crazy. So let's see what we got next. Does everybody have? Yeah, everybody should have one of these checklists here. Okay. So any questions? Anything anybody wants to address personally that you've checked off? Throw it at me. Anybody?
Strained relationships. If you're living with someone that's very hyperactive, but you want to remain with that person, it's very difficult to get rid of stress because the person's around you. It's like zoom, 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 zoom.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Let me give you, it's a little bit, not direct head-on with what you're talking about, but I had, it was actually a friend of mine. I called her up, I say, so how you doing? She says, Stan, I've been sitting on the kitchen floor sobbing all morning, crying my eyes out. She says, I'm ready to file for divorce, go back to Georgia, live with the family. Take her 2 kids with her, 10 and 13 years old. And I said, really? I said, I had no clue this was going on. So I said, well, look, I don't tell people what to do. But I suggest, if you're open to it, just hold off with the divorce because you may find that you don't need it. And you can always get one. Here in Florida, a week, file a thing, and next week it shows up in the mailbox, you're boom, it's over. So I say you can always get one, but why bother with it if you're going to undo it a little bit later? So she was okay with that. So she said, but what do I do? I said, here, do this. Very simple. And that's essentially what I'm teaching here, to get over on the joy side of the line. So she says, okay, I'll try it. I talked to her 3 weeks later. I didn't talk to her in between. How's it going? So the first call was there was no money, no love, no fun in her life. So 3 weeks later, I talked to her. I said, how's it going? She said, oh, it's great. We're having fun. We're going here. We're doing this, lots of fun. I said, good. And she says, there's plenty of money. The money flow opened up. It's amazing. I said, but wait a minute. You didn't want a lot of money. You wanted just enough. She was living the so-called frugal lifestyle. And I said, you wanted just enough. She said, oh, no, more is, and it's good. I like it. I like it. I said, oh, fine. I don't care. Whatever you like. I said, but how is it with the hubby? And this was the core issue. She said, Stan, it's like we're on our second honeymoon. This is 3 weeks. So by her changing her mindset, her behavior, she evoked a different response from her husband. Now, I don't know who's hyperactive here or whatever, but we react to one another. It's an energy thing. We're energetic. Several, 20, 30 years ago, somebody wrote a book, I think The Body Electric or something to that effect. And everything's energy. You go into a room, you could feel the energy when there's, a party or whatever, and it's like, ooh, let me out of here. This doesn't feel good. Or it's like, ooh, this is going to be fun. You could feel it before you talk to anybody. Or you can feel the energy. So when you shift your energy, your mindset, because your thoughts are very powerful, they attract things similar through natural forces, often referred to as the law of attraction. And so when you shift your energy, you're going to evoke something different from whoever is causing your problem. That's guaranteed. It just has to be. It can't be any other way. It can't. I'm not saying it'll be 100%, but what will happen is when that person is perhaps hyperactive, we'll call it, which is a big topic in and of itself, and you're in this joy zone, perhaps the two of you won't have an interaction. They'll be over there, you'll be over there. And then when a person is calm and you're in the joy zone, you come together and you have this glorious time. You say, oh, well, that's pretty cool. It doesn't have to be so painful. That's the way it works. It's energy. It's attracting and repelling all the time. Similar energies attract, different energies repel. So as you shift your energy, it's going to shift what you're attracting from the other person. Either you won't come together or evoke a different behavior from that person. And not just hyperactive. I don't care what it is. It's all the same. Good example. Two people, any two women, you go out into the parking lot. Well, Naples is pretty safe, but let's say there's some villain out there looking to, some predator, okay? And one of you walks out and looks him in the eyes. And you walk by, he's going to look and say, I ain't going to fool with that one. Someone else walks by, clutching a purse. Bingo! It's a match. Big topic that I'm not going to open up here, but it's a big topic. We're attracting everything that comes into our life experience. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but law of attraction is always in effect. It's not something you have to learn and practice. It's like gravity. Oh, I'm going to practice gravity tomorrow morning. I'm going to get up early. No, it works. It's a natural force of nature. Law of attraction, same thing. We're attracting all the time, and we're repelling at the same time. Because different energies, dissimilar energies are repelled from one another. Similar energies are attracting. And when you understand that, you say, oh, these things that you're not liking are showing up. You say, oh, maybe I need to shift something here. What am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking blah, 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 blah. How's that feel? Doesn't feel good. Oh, let me get over there on the joy cell line, what Stan was talking about. You get over there. Whew, yeah, wow, that feels a lot better. Huh. And you stay over there when you have the tools to help you stay over there. Next thing you know, these things aren't showing up so much anymore. And it becomes a new habit of thinking. None of us are stupid. But you've been thinking the way you've been thinking. Most of us are been thinking that way for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, okay? And why do you think that way? Because you believe that what you believe is to be true. Yeah? Otherwise, you wouldn't believe it. You say, hey, look, I got the proof. Look at here's all the reason. Yet, if you change your mindset, change your energy, you start attracting something different into your world, you end up with different proof. You say, hey, here's the proof. Totally opposite. So true doesn't mean that much. It depends where you're putting your energy, where you're putting your chips. What else? Anything else?
Stan, could you share with us a little bit of specifics of what your conversation with that friend was that turned everything around in a couple of weeks for her?
Appreciation. One word. That was it. Appreciation. Appreciate. Appreciate everything. Appreciate yourself, number one, because it all starts at home. Okay? And number two, appreciate everything, your environment, everything that's in your world. And number three, appreciate your husband. Look for something that you could appreciate it. And I know it's difficult. when you're ready to file for divorce to find something to appreciate. But I guarantee if you look back in the records there, think back, you'll find something that you could appreciate. Focus on that. Put all your chips on that. If you've ever seen the poker, what do they call it? Texas Hold'em. And it's like, oh, they do this. I love it. They shove all the chips and you say, all in. Do that. Put all your chips in on that appreciation, on that thing that you can appreciate purely. It's not about the words. Words mean nothing. Nothing. It has to come from here. When you could do it and you could feel it, it's like, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. And then when you get to that place and you communicate that with this other person sincerely, not just words. Words mean nothing. Because we can feel the energy. How many times have people said, oh, I'm sorry, and didn't mean it? Anybody know ever experienced that? Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding, okay? Appreciation is the same thing. If somebody really appreciates it, you can feel it. So in a relationship, that other person can feel that appreciation. And they can feel when it's not, when it's just words, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, yeah, right. That's it. Appreciation is right up there with love and empowerment and connection, alignment. It's right at the top. Yeah. What else?
Does it work for a job situation too? I mean, if I don't really like my job, just appreciate things at my job and it will...
Very interesting. Very interesting. If you can appreciate your job, it will change your experience there. Now, what's interesting is most people end up getting jobs that they don't like. And they believe that they have to do this thing in order to blah, 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 blah. When in fact, when you think, oh, I have to do this job that I don't like, is that your belief? No. Well, if it is, I can tell you it doesn't feel good, which is an indication that you're out of alignment with what the source believes. I have to do, anytime you say, I have to do blah, 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 you're in murky ground. Because you don't have to do anything. You can change whatever you want. So you could either change, there's two ways to change location. You can either change here, change your mindset, or let your fingers do, well, not, go walk, move your physical body. I missed that. What was that?
I hope there's nobody here that works with me.
So either way it works. Ideally, change your mind first. Get into a good place. Then you say, you know what? I would really like to do that thing instead of this. Then from that place of feeling good and connection, you can make a choice that will serve you well. When you make a choice, let's say to move on from a place, I hate this job, that person's an SOB, blah, blah, this, blah, 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 all this stuff. I'll tell you what, that choice isn't going to take you where you want to go. Nothing you do from that place of stress and fear and misalignment will ever take you where you want to go. Get aligned first. And then make your choice. One more? Anybody? Anything? No? So let's see, what's next? I hesitate to use this word. It's not correct. I was going to say you can't do it yourself. Technically you can. But if I was to say, okay folks, go get them, and check back with you a month later, I would find that nobody's done it. Nobody has made that shift over across to the joy line. Oh, maybe here and there, but not in a consistent way that is going to have a significant impact in your life, in your well-being. So, like I said, technically you can. It's just that we're habitual thinkers. So you get up the next morning and all this is forgotten about. or maybe 2 to 3 days, and then it's forgotten about. So all these things on this checklist, all the things that you've checked off on this side, we can fix that. You can fix that just by changing this, changing the mind, changing the program. And again, I don't tell people what to believe. Don't think I'm the guru and I'm going to tell you what to believe. You're going to have to worship me. Nothing like that. I don't want any part of that. Then you're dependent upon me. I'm all about empowering, getting you connected with the source, aligning, so you can feel and use your intuition correctly, so you can know, pull out your compass and know which way to go. That's what I teach. Anything less than that just makes you dependent upon me. I don't want that. There's too many of you. There's 7 billion of you. Stand! Help me! No, I don't want that. I'm a teacher, So if you don't deal with this, you're going to face a bleak future. I mean, look around. Look around. The hospitals are full. They're overflowing with people, all kinds of ailments, the divorces, and the world is out of alignment. Get in alignment, everything just falls into place. Everything gets easier and easier. That's why once you start this, things get easier and progressively easier and easier and easier. You're letting go of the load that you've been lugging around for all your life. Empower versus disempower. The reason you can't solve your problems is because you've been disempowered. You're powerless. If you were powerful, you could solve your problems. But you're not. You're disempowered because you're over on the stress side of things, disconnected, out of alignment, out of joy, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. Get over there, love and appreciation and empowerment, connection, alignment. Things get easy to correct. In fact, most of them are self-correcting. You don't even have to do it. The source will take care of it for you. You have a whole team, a non-physical, spiritual team working on your behalf when you get lined up. It's a beautiful thing. Life doesn't have to be a struggle.